versus the all Reds. That's crazy.
All right, we are live.
It says 26 peeps, man.
Oh yeah, we're rolling right now.
That's a lot of people ready to hear some listener league winners. Nobody responded to our comments or our posts, but everybody's here to find out who wins, I guess.
There it is. There it is.
All right. Well, welcome, guys. If you're not watching, BYU just had a massive kick return. Don't know what the yardage was, but we were reacting to that right before going online. So let me scroll up here. Yeah, welcome to the Sideline Podcast. My name is Kevin Showalter. My co-host, as always, is Jared Booker. We are two best friends who love college football and hope to help you guys create unbeatable fantasy football teams. Today, if you're joining us, we're on X at Sideline FF Pod, also on YouTube at the same hashtag. And throughout the week, we're trying to post waiver wires, our rankings, and Booker running wild in the comments section is always a good time. What's the name of that squirrel that made an appearance today? I understood the squirrel, like I was I knew of the squirrel. I didn't know the name, but yeah, give us a little shout out on the squirrel.
Well, I'm trying to remember the game the squirrel was at.
Squirrel White. Was it at a game?
Oh, that was the Tennessee. No, yeah, it was during a game. But it was an ode to Peanut the squirrel, who tragically lost his life last week. So,
yeah. So Squirrel White touchdown, and then you posted again. We're trying to not get political, but you cannot this past week. So I thought that was a very, very well done by you. So
yeah.
You haven't joined us before. We like to start each week with trivia. So without further ado, I think, Booker, you have some trivia questions for us today.
I've got some trivia, and in the past, I know that I've kind of made it hard on you, and I'm going to continue making it hard on you. And so
excellent.
That's just how it is. So
leather helmets inbound.
Yes. Yep. Here we go. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. Today, Florida scored 17 points against Texas. What year did that last happen? And let me like just make sure I'm clarifying here. I'm asking, what year did Florida score any points against Texas? I didn't word this very well, but what was the last year that Florida scored any points at all against Texas? Was it A, 1958, B, 1936, C, 2001, or D, 1924?
Because you're trying to go difficult on me, I'm going to go 1924, because why wouldn't you find a stat from 100 years ago?
Yep, that's exactly correct. The answer is D.
Play the man, not
let's see here. What?
I said play the man, not the game.
That's right. October 25, 1924. The game ended in a 7-7 tie. So Nice work.
Wow. So that should have said any points against, but
Yep. Okay. All right. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
Nice work. Let's see if you can go for 2 for 2. After today's win against Michigan, Indiana is 10-0. When was the last time the Hoosiers were 10-0? Is it A, never, B, 2020, COVID year, C, 1945, or D, 1967?
This one's easy. This is maybe that COVID year, but no, it is A, never. And we are firmly on the Indiana bandwagon. It's incredible. I thought maybe Michigan was going to come back and and win that one today. But yeah, I don't know if you shared the graphic, but I saw that graphic that they are. Yeah, they are undefeated for the first time ever at 10-0. I love Coach Sig. His comment after the game was like, "Yeah, okay, it's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, it's good, man."
Yeah.
Like just such what a guy, just
Yeah.
the type
I
of
want to be
coach
his
you want to
friend.
play. So
I just want to be his friend.
yeah, very good.
So just so you
Yeah.
know, you're exactly right. It's never happened. In 2020, they went 6-2 overall, but as everyone remembers, that was a COVID year. And then in 1945 and 1967, they had 9 wins, and so you got that. I wanted to lob up a slow pitch, one for you to knock out of the park. So you are 2 for 2 today. Nice work.
Thank you. I've been studying up my 1924 football stats. So all right, so we are excited to announce we have 2 winners, 2 guys that are going to join our listener league. Again, this is starting in 2025. Some people probably saw us posting on X like who starts a league 10 weeks into the college season. This is for next year. We'll do a draft probably in the spring, maybe in another draft in the summer for NFL and college. This will be a campus to Canton league, and our first 2 entrants are going to be Can't Burn This CD and BJ Folk 12. So thank you guys for your engagement on our channel, our following, our helping to build this podcast. We're really excited to do this and to build community. And yeah, we think it's going to be a fun way to do a league with the people that are hopefully following along, and we all can. We if eventually we won't be able to have everybody create unstoppable fantasy football teams, but somebody certainly will. So yeah, again, Can't Burn This CD and BJ Folk 12. Shout out to my guy BJ Folk 12 from Pennsylvania. Yeah, go Eagles,
Nice.
go everything Philly sports. So we won't be able to make the entire league Philadelphia sports fans for obvious reasons, but it should be a good time.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts you have on the listener league, or we'll just get into that at a later time?
I'm just super excited. I think that we will probably. I know we're coming towards the end of this season, but we're both really excited to have this listener league, and yeah. So congratulations to those 2, and we're looking forward to filling up the rest of that league for next year. So yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to recaps. Again, we've kind of been breaking this into first half, second half of the podcast. First half, we're going to recap the games, top performers, and then second half, we're usually looking forward to next week, waiver wires. This specific episode, we're going to talk a little bit about playoffs for college fantasy football. Playoffs in most leagues are going to start this coming weekend, so we'll get into some of strategy for setting your playoff lineups. So, all right, let's start with some recap. We've got Texas versus Florida. So, man, you had a real barn burner of a tweet today of what was that, like a burnt toilet seat lid or something, and you had said something about so, there's a couple teams that you like to ragdoll, and yeah, I would say Florida Gators are one of them. The Colorado Buffaloes. I don't know who else is on your hit list. Lane Kiffin, he definitely makes the cut. But the big one from today was Quinn Ewers, 333 yards, 5 touchdowns. Great game for him. If you had the running backs for Texas, you're really happy. Wide receivers. I mean, yeah, I guess if you had anybody on Texas, you're pretty happy right about now. Gunnar Helm, 3 for 42 and a touchdown. We did have DeAndre Moore on our waiver wire. He's not been super consistent. He's had some boom weeks. He's a little more of that boom bust variety, more of a best ball option than he's not 1 or 2 or 3 even in that offense. But just some weeks for some reason he pops off. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, any other thoughts you have on this game? The big news, I think, was DJ Lagway did not play, so that just the entire Florida offense just kind of had nothing to nothing going today. Jacoby Jackson, 116 yards and a touchdown. Jaden Ball, true freshman, right on him?
Jaden Ball, true freshman. Yep.
88 yards and a touchdown. And this is a real beatdown here for Texas. Oh, is this kind of a get right game for Texas? You think put them back? After they lost, it kind of maybe probably took some people off the train. But it almost I feel like I heard Nick Saban say this one time where like most of the years they won the national titles, they had lost a game earlier that year. So like it's almost like an advantage to lose earlier and then build the momentum into the playoffs, not like you lose in the SEC championship game and you're like, oh no, the sky is falling, but I squeaked into the playoffs. So yeah, Texas, we were pretty high on them early in the season. I think they could go on a run here with Quinn Ewers healthy. Would you concur on that?
I would agree. Their next 3 games, we have Arkansas, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. So I absolutely believe this was a get-right game. And without DJ Lagway, you had Aiden Warner, which is a redshirt. I think he's a redshirt sophomore who played at Yale last year. And I mean, he obviously can play. He can play ball, but welcome to the SEC. I think he got hit a couple times today, and he will remember those. But I think Texas takes the rest. They'll win the rest of their games, and they'll obviously be in the playoffs. So I think they're a very dangerous team after losing to Georgia.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. All right, so moving along.
Can I add one more thing?
Go ahead.
So DJ Moore, as Kevin said, was on our waiver wire list.
Oh no. Oh, DJ Moore.
Not DJ Moore. Sorry.
What? Chicago Bears, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I did DeAndre Moore. I apologize. I mean, also pick up DJ Moore if you can.
Yeah, if you can get DJ Moore in your college.
If you can, do it. DeAndre Moore, there were at least 2 passes from Quinn Ewers that were like right in his hands for either a big gain or a touchdown. If he had secured both of those, we would be gloating about our pick. But he dropped them. So, we can't claim that, but he had the opportunity today. He just did not take advantage. And so that's all I have to say.
Yeah. I'm tracking now DeAndre Moore Jr. for Texas. I am. I'm following. So. No, very good. All right, so we'll move along to Georgia versus Ole Miss, and I don't think we. Was I gonna look here 1 second? Yeah, I had like a biggest letdown section. We weren't really going to get into that, but looking at this game in the box score, this is kind of a biggest letdown game. Trey Harris not playing, still out injured. Jackson Dart, we're high on him, but the Georgia defense is still showing up. The Georgia offense is MIA. This is a disappointing fantasy football day for kind of this entire team. I mean, Nate Frazier, freshman, 47 and a touchdown. You're happy to see the promise, but even that's not a massive,
And he had 2 fumbles. He had two fumbles. So the guy could not hold on to the ball.
So, yeah, I would say this would kind of be our biggest letdown of just all of the big names in this game and just not – again, this is kind of an SEC slugfest, so to be expected. But, yeah, I think the big news of the day, and I posted out earlier, I am just warming the pipes on my Gunner Stockton is on my team, and I'm just itching to trade him away. So I'm hoping. I don't actually think they're going to bench Carson Beck. I don't think, but I don't think Kirby Smart wouldn't do it. Like if he's like, hey, this guy's more focused on his green Lamborghini than throwing touchdown passes. Kirby seems like the kind of guy that would bench somebody, but it just seems like. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this game on the Georgia offense? What's going to take to get this Georgia offense going?
Well, so I don't know if you see the banner that's currently scrolling across the bottom.
Yeah.
But he always looks tired. And in this game, I mean, he has the most interceptions at 12 interceptions in all of the SEC this year. Even Garrett Nussmeier doesn't have that many interceptions. And so he's, I mean, I would still probably, if you could get him on your fantasy team for a low price, I would still probably shoot for him because if you're in a Campus to Canton league, I think that he'll do okay. But right now, he is just underperforming. And so, as far as this game goes, Nate Frazier, he is on my fantasy team. He looked explosive, but with those, I mean, it was raining and the ball was slippery. So, I mean, I don't know. He was coughing up the ball, and I had heard the announcers saying something about in practice that the coaches were getting on him about not being able to hold onto the ball either. So, he's a true freshman. So we'll give him some time to figure out how to hold on to that ball well. But overall, when I see a rainy, I mean, even the LSU Alabama game, it was, I mean, the rain was coming down. And so
yeah,
it's just hard to have a super productive day when you're focusing on keeping a handle on that ball. And so,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. So, big one of the afternoon. This was the college game day game. Again, kind of disappointment here for LSU not showing up in prime time. But really, I mean, coached by Brian Kelly, did we, I don't want to back the truck over him, but did we expect anything different? Jalen Milroe, what a game. Did he finish? He had to finish with more than 25 fantasy points. I think I need to update that. But
yeah. So I have him on my team. On Fantrax, the way our league scores, he finished with 46.86 points. And so if I have a chance to win, it's because Jalen Milroe had the game that he had. So
yeah, absolute monster. Again, it's the name, it's the Alabama, it's the running ability, but you can't not help see stat lines like that and think Jalen Hurts, and yeah, I'm like, this guy, but again, he can throw, he has the ability to throw, but yeah, just get him in Philadelphia next year as a backup, learn to tush push, he'll be all set. So any other thoughts from this game? Nussmeier with the interception. We've talked a lot about Caden Durham the last couple of weeks. More of a chill day for him, only 63 yards.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the weather was really, really bad. And so Alabama, obviously, they've got a super athletic specimen at quarterback, 12 carries for 185 and 4 with a long of 72. Obviously, Garrett Nussmeier does not have the wheels that Jalen Milroe has. So, I mean, he completed 19 passes out of 32 for 170. That was Garrett Nussmeier. So, when the rain, I keep calling it water. When the rain is falling as hard as it was on and off, you just got to rely on your rushing game. And Alabama has not only some stud running backs, but a guy under center who's got some wheels. And so I think the biggest disappointment for me in this game was Ryan Williams. Before I turned on that game, I heard that there was like a replay that Ryan Williams had a long ball from Jalen Milroe just right off his fingertips that probably would have changed the end result of his day. But as far as receiving goes, he had 2 for 29. So not super impressed. I traded for him, and I love Ryan Williams, and I think his outlook is super bright. But as far as this game goes, he was not a superhero like he has been in the past. So LSU is out of the playoff. I'm just calling that now. And Alabama is still alive because they won today.
Yeah. No, I think that feels about right. Trying to think what I was going to score here. We got a score in this BYU Utah game. Trying to see who that is. Was it official? Is Bernard out of this game, or is he still got a chance?
I'm still seeing, it looks like last time I checked, he had 4 rushes for 20 some odd yards.
Got 7
He
for
now
30.
has 7 for 38. So I think he's still in there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So just so everybody knows, I'm currently in our Fantrax League. I am down by 11 points. And the only player I have left playing is Micah Bernard. And so I need him to I need him to do pretty well tonight against BYU, and I'm not entirely sure that's going to happen. So I'll keep you posted as we go.
Yeah. And who won? I'm just looking at our other matchups. Yeah, so if pretty much if Micah Bernard gets 22 points, you will get a first round bye in our playoffs. If he does not, you will not get a first round bye. So I believe that is correct because our number 1 seed beat the number 2 seed. You're currently the number 3, so you would move up. I think if you and number 2 seed had the same record, I think he scored a little bit more points than you. Yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully Bernard can pick it up and get you those points that you need. It is. I'm not going to go into a full blown best ball rant here, but we've switched to best ball this year, and I'm not a fan. It's so hard to know like just looking at your scores. Like, okay, I need Bernard to outscore my lowest player by this amount to try and get more. It just I'm call me old fashioned, but I love setting my 10 to 12 guys, and then I know, hey, this guy's in my flex. I'm hoping that he does well or he doesn't. It just there's pros and cons to it, but that'll be all for my best ball rant tonight. So those of you who have listened before, we have done a who wins game. Usually this is matchups. So we would say LSU, neutral field, playoff game, who's going to win. We want to spice it up a little bit, especially 56 people watching. We'll say maybe 40 of those are Russian bots and maybe 16 people out there. So,
Yes.
So we're gonna do on game day today. They had the LSU Tiger. It's been all about the LSU Tiger today. So we're gonna do a who wins game, fight to the death, super hungry, out in the wild. We're not assuming all the medicated and domesticated and that. We're talking in the wild, LSU Tiger. Okay, versus the NC State pack of wolves. So would you take the LSU Tiger or a pack of wolves? Now, I don't know what constitutes a pack. Do you want me to put a number on it before you make a decision? Or
I do. I think that's pretty important. I do need a number.
Say, we're going to just trust Google. Okay, wow, this is interesting. So a pack can vary, but typically from 2 to 12 with an average of 6 or 7. However, packs can sometimes have as many as 20 or 30 wolves. We're going to go with 6 wolves. We're going to say that average. So 6 wolves versus 1 LSU Tiger. Who you taking in that matchup?
All right. So because you said 6 wolves, I am going with the Wolf Pack. Even though if it was a head-to-head matchup, LSU, NC State, I'm going LSU all day. But we're talking about the mascots. And so I'm going NC State, Wolf Pack. The Wolves would have the upper hand because they wear down the Tiger by repeated attacks from different angles. They are skilled at using their teamwork people, or teamwork animals. So they would be able to team up on the Tiger. And even though the Tiger is obviously stronger and bigger and formidable, I do not think the Wolves, or I do not think the Tiger could beat the Wolf long term. So go Wolves.
Yeah, I'd set the over under at probably 3 wolves. I think the Tiger could take down 3 wolves. Once you get to 4, I think it would be, because I'm thinking 3 wolves, Tiger crushes 1, probably eats the other one with his mouth, and then it's a 1-on-1 fight. But 4, like you said, different angles, war of attrition. Yeah, it's tough. 6 or 7, I think the wolves probably get the better. But maybe we need to look up some Tiger fights in the wild. So okay, back to the LSU Tiger versus Bevo the steer for Texas. It doesn't have to be Bevo the steer. That's just their mascot. So LSU wild tiger versus just a pissed off steer. You can, if you want to imagine it with its little, I don't know, the little belt that they wear to kick the riders off, but however you want to get the steer nice and angry, would you take the steer or the tiger in the wild?
I think
This is tough.
this is a tough one. I do think the tiger would be able to win. Um, the tiger is a little more agile. I think that it can get around the backside of a bovine steer. And even though a steer is large and strong, it does lack these natural defenses that. I mean, it has horns. Like if the tiger catches a horn to the chest, it's done. But I think a tiger is able to run behind a steer, jump on top, and once a tiger is on top of the steer, I'm not entirely sure there's anything that steer can do. I'm going LSU Tiger on that one.
Let's leave it up to the people here as well. If you are one of these, maybe 57, minus a couple Russian bots, let's do a hashtag steer or hashtag tiger if you think who would win this matchup. I'm going steer. I like what you're
no.
I like what you're saying on the agility, but man, I'm just banking that steer can get lucky and one horn and it's done.
You're what you're doing is you're visualizing the Bevo against that bulldog a few years ago against that little bulldog from Georgia. Yeah, I mean
that's my goodness. All right, I think I have one more.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, LSU Tiger, and again, those of you in the chat probably raging right now, but hashtag steer, hashtag tiger. Which one are you taking? All right, moving along. Again, out in the wild, we're going to go LSU Tiger or 1,300 pounds of Ralphie the Buffalo for Colorado. Now, put your Colorado bias aside. I know you don't like Colorado, but 1,300-pound Buffalo. I don't know how much a tiger weighs, but versus the tiger, who you taking?
I think a buffalo is just a hairy steer, and so I'm still going tiger. Setting aside my dislike for the Colorado buffalo, I still think a tiger would take a buffalo, and actually, I think a tiger would have a better chance against a buffalo than a steer because the buffalo has to he's got all that hair over his eyes, and so he's like the emo skater version of a steer.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out this whole how we posting things while we're on here. But I'm gonna drink my own Kool-Aid. I'm gonna drink my own Kool-Aid, and I'm gonna get this party started with my hashtag steer because now I'm going to agree with you.
Is there anybody? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm just wondering. I'm seeing comments here. I'm not actually seeing any comments. Is there anybody on here that's like a live human being? Shoot us out a comment if you're real and you're not a Russian bot and you have an opinion.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
So, I was going to say I'd probably go tiger as well over the buffalo just because he doesn't have the horns. Sheer mass, but I think a tiger is a natural predator where a buffalo is, let me graze and eat grass type of thing. So, yeah. All right, let's move it along. The fine folks of X and YouTube did not come for war of attrition tigers, but it is a good thing. Again, if you're following hashtag steer or hashtag tiger, that's probably the closest debate. The wolf pack is interesting as well. So I almost want to update these. I guess you just have to correct me here. Most of these are early games, so we'll think it's good. So, all right, we're going to move on here. Second half, top performers from a fantasy football perspective. Who stands out? And so let's start with our quarterbacks. We were kind of debating on Fernando Mendoza before the show. Is he a waiver wire? Is he not? Some of that is it's so hard on Fantrax to know like how many campus account leagues are out there. How you see roster percentages, but it's like in our league, it's 42 roster spots. Almost everybody that is anywhere decent is taken, and so we're usually scraping the bottom of the barrel for finding waiver guys. But anyway, great game for him today. We'll start there. 385 yards, 2 touchdowns, 51 yards on the ground and a touchdown, 34.5 fantasy points. You loved it. Again, it's cheat code in fantasy football to have a dual threat quarterback. That goes if you're playing ESPN PPR leagues, Campus of Canton, just a college fantasy football, home league with your buddies. Like if you have a quarterback that can run, that's a cheat code. So no difference here. How about for you? Who's standing out on the quarterbacks?
I think for me, I'm most impressed with Quinn Ewers, and I know that may be like, well, of course. I mean, the guy's a blue chip quarterback.
Yeah.
After injury, let's see here. And I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember exactly when his injury occurred, but obviously he took some time away where Arch Manning stood in and took his place and did a really good job. But today, throwing for 5 touchdowns, and I watched that entire game. Like, they were all dimes. 333 yards, 5 touchdowns. I'm just very impressed. And I think Quinn Ewers, like if you have him on your team, you have held on to him because of the pedigree, because he's on Texas, because he's got the weapons that he's got. There have been some times where you probably thought to yourself, man, I think I want to trade this guy. And so today you cashed out on the Quinn Ewers pick. And I was very impressed watching him play today. And I think Texas is a national championship contender moving forward.
Yeah, I love the. I don't even know what he's advertising on the commercials he's been running with the. He just pretty much ragged on Arch Manning on commercials of like, I don't care if he's got good hair. I don't care if he's got a good family. Like, yeah, is that what it is? Like, I love it though. I'm like, this guy's got a little bit of chip on his shoulder. Like he's got, I remember the mullet Quinn Ewers where it's like, all right, this dude, 18 years old, like. He thinks he's that guy, but is he that guy? And now I'm like, man, he's got a little gristle to him and a little bit of a chip. And oh yeah, Arch Manning, like I am going to the league next year. So yeah, I think that's a good call by you. By no means a breakout, but yeah, you love to see that many fantasy points. And the complete opposite is 0 rushing yards. Like he's just slinging the pill. So that there's still a place for that. Is that Bernard? That is Bernard touchdown, right? Number 2? They called it. 2 is Bernard.
Oh, come on, baby.
Go. There you go.
Oh, hey. Do I need that? Oh, do I need that?
Well, it's more than and I think it was a catch, too. So you got yards, catch, and a touchdown.
Oh, come on.
Now, again, we almost don't want them to blow them out because then you're not going to get those catches. Oh, yeah, that's a touchdown. Oh,
that's a touchdown.
Yeah,
no. I don't know. Actually, his knee might have been down. For those of you watching, I'd love to hear whether if you're watching the Holy War, Utah against BYU, do you think that was a touchdown? I don't know that was a touchdown. Actually, I think that was not a touchdown.
No, it's not a knee down. I think he broke the plane. It just was like a weird angle.
So close.
They called it a touchdown on the field. I don't think you overturn this. Yeah, that's
his knee is not down.
I mean, he's broke.
You're right.
That guy's right there. He's like, oh, look at the hops on that judge, man. You see the hops on that guy?
Yeah. You have to be an athlete to be a ref. Yeah, you got to be an athlete.
I don't remember which game it was, but a ref they threw a ball at the ref, and I thought he reached out his hands to catch it, and he dodged, but it was right at him. I'm like, yeah, was this a Kansas City Chiefs game or what? But
nice.
Anyway, we've got a personal investment in this game, but gosh, this is an all-time uniform. These unis, these blues and reds. Look at that. Look at
Yeah.
those hops. Oh, my God. That's got to be a touchdown. You can't overturn that when you call the touchdown on the field.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
need it.
I think it's going
Isn't
to be a
it
touchdown.
amazing? Fantasy football comes down to so many moments like this where it's your guy almost scores, almost doesn't score, and it just oh man, the emotional roller coaster of fantasy football sometimes where you're like, man, this is like a 9-point swing when you need 22. Like this is a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
Second seed, you get a bye week. Last year was our first year playing campus in Canton, but those bye weeks in both college and NFL is huge. Like you are one win from a championship game versus your 1 week of somebody getting, flaming hot and putting you on the bench, So it just, oh man, I just don't even want to move on until we get a verdict on this
No,
game.
but I do think we need to move on. We'll come back to it. So you were going
We'll come back.
to running back, correct?
Yeah, we were finishing up quarterbacks.
Okay. The play stands,
Yeah,
by the way. So we got it. It was
there we go. Okay, we got it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any surprises in the top. Honestly, in the top 20. I mean, everybody was there.
I have some surprises. I mean,
You know
like,
what? Who's a surprise in the top 20 on the quarterback?
okay, so I don't. Oh, the quarterback.
Other than Fernando, we talked Fernando. I guess Malik Murphy, like at 9, is kind of a surprise. I don't know.
Yeah. What about Hank? What about Hank Bachmeier for Wake Forest? What do you think about him?
I actually dropped him recently. He had some good weeks early in the season, and as of late, he hasn't been doing much. But he definitely has some skills. Let's see, what did he do today? 273 or 274 and 3 interceptions. And I see that touchdown on the ground. That's what saved his day. So I mean, it's a good week for him, but I dropped him for a reason, and I'm not worried about it. But I mean, good for him. He did score. He scored the points. Diego Pavia still doing well. Again, it was kind of I would say a lower ceiling, it seems, across fantasy football this week. And so that's a good segue. I posted, I think it was yesterday or earlier today, that 3 weeks in a row we've had running backs over 45 points. And I was curious. I've been kind of following all day, like, hey, who's going to be that running back to hit that ceiling today? Nobody did. We have 2 running backs above 30. Rocket Sanders is all the way back, 126, 2 touchdowns, 2 for 52 and a touchdown. I'm going to butcher this name, but let's give this a go. We're going to say Kai Robichaux.
It's Robichaux. Yep, you got it. Robichaux.
All right, we got it. He is a free agent in our league, so he's going to be on our waiver wire when we get a little further down here in the show. Not because we think he's going to do this every week, but he is a starting running back for Boston College. They like to run the ball. He's a little bit of a surprise, though, I would say, in the top, obviously a 30-point week. You see some big names: Taj Brooks, 26.4, LaQuint Allen, 25.7, RJ Harvey, 22.9. Like, trust your studs. Again, that's not any different in any type of fantasy football format. Is, hey, you drafted these guys, you have these guys for a reason. That's why, because they show up consistently. How about you? Anything standing out in the top 20? Surprises? It sounded like you had a surprise or 2 there for us.
Well, so I'm very impressed with Kai Robichaux for Boston College. He was on a roster early on in the season, and then he had a couple down weeks and got dropped. I have a feeling that this next on Tuesday, when waiver wires run, he's going to be picked up again. Someone that looked incredible, who is probably not available in your league, but I'm just going to shout him out because he did so well. Jadon Blue. He was electric today.
You're
watching him. What?
You're high on it. You've talked about him a lot. Yeah, he's definitely one of your guys.
Incredible. I had CJ Baxter on my roster. He blew out his ACL or something in his knee. So Jadon Blue took over, sharing with Jarrett Gibson. And actually, I believe Jarrett Gibson he's a true freshman. He had the bigger week overall, but Jadon Blue, he looked incredible. He's electric. He's fun to watch. The other person I have on my team, who I'm excited that I picked up, and I'm not entirely sure that I used any fab to get him because I got him pretty early, was Jaden Baugh for Florida. Florida is struggling offensively. Obviously, they've got like a third string quarterback in there with Mertz and Lagway hurt. So they've got, oh goodness, I'm even forgetting his name now, but he's in there. And I think ETN has been hurt. He had some type of rib injury from last week's game. And so Jaden Ball, though, he had that 5 touchdown week a weeks ago. And he just looks great. He looks solid. He's shifty. He's quick. He's a big guy, so he knows he can lay the wood. So yeah, I'm excited to have him on my team. Those are the two that probably stand out the most. I know that Jacoby Jackson actually, as far as points go on the week for Florida, he had the bigger week, but I would actually much rather have Jaden Ball than Jacoby Jackson. So, yep.
Yeah, very good. I was just working on a post to shout out our 2 winners. Again, our 2 winners in our listener league. Can't burn this CD. You can tell when that guy was his approximate age. He's definitely not 18 to 25. Where's a CD? I stream on Spotify, bro. Like, what do you mean a CD? But shout out, that guy's burned a couple CDs in his life. And then BJ Folk 12. Yeah, we're giving you guys a little bit of a shout out on X. Can't wait to play some fantasy football with you guys in 2025. All right, I think for me, running backs, yeah, I think that's all that stood out to me. No other names. Again, it feels like it's a down week. I mean, the 2 guys at the top 5 is pretty high, but it kind of falls off there from 7 down to 20, like 14 points. Where again, last week we had 4 or 5 guys over 40 points. It's a little bit of a down week, as we get into the heart of the season here. So let's move along to our wide receivers. Why don't you get us started on this one? Who's standing out? Surprises? Yeah, go ahead, fire away on the wide receivers.
I think the most surprising one to me is Daimir, as far as like wide receivers that are this week performing well. Daimir Miller for Rutgers. Let's see here. He had 5 receptions for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns for Rutgers. So something that was going on. Let's see. I'm going to double check. Yes. So Kyle Monangai for Rutgers was injured. And so they did not have that same rushing attack capability that they had prior to the injury. And so I believe that Daimir Miller has kind of taken over that alpha spot as far as getting that ball thrown his way. Yeah, and he's actually only rostered according to Fantrax. Of course, you can only trust that for as far as you can throw it, but 3% according to Fantrax. Daimir Miller for Rutgers, so he was actually in the running for the waiver wire pickup on my end. Jeremiah Smith. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying he was on. You go. You wrap it up. Then I'll jump in. All
right, I'm going to wrap up and then you jump in. So Jeremiah Smith, he broke a record today for like true freshman touchdowns at Ohio State. I mean, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. If you have Jeremiah Smith on your Fantrax or you are a Ohio State fan, you are super excited that guy is on your team. And then Isaiah Bond, he looked really great as well for Texas. And so he had one of these touchdowns where he caught the ball. He might have been on the 30 or the 40, caught caught it, but then just ran away from the defense. And so Isaiah Bond, formerly an Alabama wide receiver, now playing for Texas, looked incredible today. So I think those are the standouts for me. And now I will stop interrupting you.
No, I was interrupting you, man. You had mentioned Dymere Miller, and he was on our waiver wire last week. I was like typing up a post on X about, because we've had a pretty good run on our waivers. We've had a lot of misses. I was talking to you today about. I was like, I think I predicted before the season that Georgia would miss the playoffs, and you were like, bro, you are out of your mind. I think that's literally what you said, is you're out of your mind. The problem is that one's looking good right now. The take before that was that Florida State would make the playoffs. So that one is, I don't know what's below freezing cold, but that is like,
it's bad.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. So we're learning this fast, that as we, Genty is better than Hunter. As we, as you put stuff out there on the internet, you're going to hit and you're going to miss. So I had a post queued up. Oh man, I think our waivers are really hitting this week, because in past weeks we've done pretty well for guys to continue to produce. I think it was only Dymere Miller that had a good week this week. So if you're really trusting those guys, hang in there. Again, we don't want to chase the points of, hey, guy had one good week, so if he doesn't the next, I'm going to drop him, because then you drop him and then this coming week he'll have a big week. So it's, especially in best ball, sometimes guys, you got to hold on to them, and it's going to ebb and flow, and you just hope that you have enough talent on your team. So we will take the victory lap on him, though, as I think it's a little bit. So Kyle Monangai for Rutgers, I think he's out injured. Is that correct? He's on your team.
He is injured. Gosh, I'm trying to remember who he was playing against. It was either last week or the week before. He was just getting beat up, and he eventually he hit his head against the field, like the ground, and I think he's concussed, and so I expect him to be back next week. But yes, he is out. He was out this week.
I just think it's interesting. I feel like since he's been out, Rutgers has really been throwing the ball. And so it doesn't show it here on the graphic that I have, but I believe Miller had 13 targets for only 5 catches. He had 20 targets last week. I don't like that efficiency, but I would say as long as Monangai is out of the lineup, I think he's going to continue to feast. I don't know if he's a slot receiver type of build where they're just giving him those quick dump offs, but I expect his target volume to continue as long as their stud running back is out. Even when he comes back, again, he's showing ability to produce. One thing that stands out to me, well, 2 things really. Savion Williams is quickly moving up my wish list of trade targets. He's a senior this year, so I'm going to do some research on who has him and if that guy is a win, kind of what his strategy is. But I might throw some younger guys his way for Savion Williams. I think this guy's got a chance at the next level to be sort of that. He's much bigger. He's much taller than Deebo Samuel, but the fact that he's running the ball, he's catching the ball, like kind of that joker, that multifaceted piece. He's been so consistent. So this is his last 3 weeks. 26.14, that's today. 28.14, 30.3 points over the last 3 weeks. He's got a bye next week, but then great matchups in championships. I would not be shocked if Savion Williams is on quite a few championship rosters. I got to eat my crow. We had Jack Beck in our top 10 and Savion Williams this week. Jack Beck has kind of fallen off. I remember there was a big trade earlier this season in our league, and I was like, man, who the heck is that guy? And I looked him up, and I was like, oh, wow, this guy is really producing. One of the challenges of college fantasy football is there's so many players that it's near impossible to keep tabs on every single team, where like in the NFL, any of the starting wide receivers, like their name. Where in college, it is just it's a beast. So that's my thought on the TCU wide receivers. One other thing, and then I'll let you jump back in there. What stands out to me is 1, 2, 3 Colorado, and I know you just, this is crushing your soul to give the Buffs any kind of shout outs here, but 3 wide receivers in the top 11, that to me is impressive. I mean, I've seen 2 wide receivers, top 5, top 10, but 3 in the top borderline 10 for the week. That is quite the feat. So Travis Hunter, 24.9. We've got Will Shepard, 21.9. LeJontay Wester, 20.2. And I was just looking up here. Yeah, none of those guys are like rushing the ball. Like I know at one point Colorado had a guy that was like super. I'm trying to think what his name was, but he could kind of run and catch like Savion Williams. But those guys are just getting it done through the air. 8 catches, 9 catches. Yeah, what a day for those 3. So to have 3 wide receivers in the top 10, I think is truly impressive. Shador finished top 4, 34.24 points. I mean, those were his only 3 touchdowns, so that there's a little bit of touchdown luck that comes with fantasy football, but that to me stands out. This is kind of something funny. So I was listening to the Ohio State versus Purdue game while I was working today at my day job. And it was hilarious to listen to the announcers of that game because I don't even know who it was. And I mean, it's hard. It's probably hard to announce a blowout. Like just, oh, great, they scored again. But the way they were announcing, like, and Jeremiah Smith just scored a touchdown. Like, just like everything was like just super chill and like, and Will Howard threw the ball to G for a touchdown. Like I was like, wait, did they just score? Like, I'm not watching the game, so I can't. I'm like trusting their reaction to like help me know if somebody scored. It's like, oh, Jeremiah Smith cutting through the defense and he scores a touchdown. I'm like, wait, like, give me some. Anyway, I just thought that was really funny during that Purdue game.
I was going to post something on X because I watched the touchdown that Jeremiah Smith got that pushed him over the edge of the record for true freshman touchdowns. He hands the ball to the referee, and like this kid's a true freshman. It's like I just don't understand it. The guy, it's like he was born and he knew he was just going to be incredible. And then you got Ryan Williams, obvious stud, but he's painting his nails over on Alabama. And Jeremiah Smith is he's just tearing it up, handing the ball to the referee. I can appreciate that. I do not like Ohio State, but I do appreciate that. So I agree that people just come to expect that type of production, I think, from Jeremiah Smith already, even though he's just a true freshman. So,
yeah. And another thing they had said on that broadcast was they were talking about his strength and how he just is a workout junkie. And they were saying his strength coach would be like, all right, give me 5 sets of, squats or something. And he'll do like 12 or 13. Like he's obsessed with work and getting better. And yeah, I'm not going to ragdoll Ryan Williams' choices. He's obviously a stud and a freak athlete.
Yeah.
Crazy talented, but there is something to be said about those guys that just want to put in the work, get their lunch pail. They have all the talent to, again, we don't want to ragdoll Carson Beck, and I'm saying ragdoll a lot here, but hey, you got the Lambo, you got the NIL. Do you have the fire in your belly to still, want to go after it week in, week out? And I don't know if that's what's going on with Carson Beck, but it just feels like, is that hunger there? I don't know. Again, we'll move on. I've beaten that one pretty good. It's good to see Restrepo finish strong. Obviously, we didn't cover that. We didn't talk about that game, but big loss for Miami. If Georgia Tech only played teams in Florida, they'd be ranked top 5. I mean, they have ruined seasons in the state of Florida. So, Florida State still hasn't recovered, and they haven't ended Miami's season because it's going to come down to Clemson, Miami, ACC title game. Is there any other competitors in the ACC, or is it just going to be those two? Because they don't have conferences within the ACC, right? It's just one big blob, and then top 2 play. Is that correct?
Yes. I think someone, though, that I am kind of intrigued by in the ACC, a dark horse. Let's see here. I mean, obviously, Pitt has played really, really well. Also, Louisville. I mean, I don't know that any of those guys, or SMU too. Yeah, I'm not entirely.
So SMU has Boston College, Virginia, California at home. They should be favored in all of those games. None of those teams are
Yeah,
ranked, and SMU is currently 5-0 in the conference, so they're going to finish 8-0. So Miami might not make the college football playoff because of one loss to Georgia Tech.
it's
That
possible.
that's crazy. That is
Yeah,
crazy. Wow, that's a huge loss. And that's like worse than, like, in my mind. I'm like, oh, they're ranked 4. It's not a big deal. But you know, if Clemson loses, or say Clemson wins that championship game, SMU should be ranked in the top 10 by that point if they win out. Yeah, I think Miami's going to fall pretty hard losing to Georgia Tech, and so that's
yeah,
crazy. That's a big loss. I did not realize. Clemson's remaining schedule is Pitt, Citadel, South Carolina. So, but South Carolina's in a conference game, so really they got to handle business against Pitt, and then they're in the title game. So, yeah, wow, that's a huge loss for Miami today, and we'll be interested to see if they make it into the playoff and where they're ranked. So, all right, let's move along. Give me 1 second here to just adjust. Did you still have something on Savion Williams, or we about covered it all?
Well, just one thing I'll say on him. I had looked at him early on before. I mean, I think he was still on our waiver wires pretty early on this season. I think because of quarterback play, he had not been picked up. But on 247, the guy was like a 93 recruit, 93 rated recruit, 6'5", over 200 pounds. He was like a triple sport athlete, like just a freak of nature. And so I think that if he had played at any other school, there is no way he would have been available at any point on our waiver wires. But I think you're smart to try to go after him, even though he's not producing maybe to the level that I think he could, because once he gets on an NFL team, I think you're going to be quite happy. And so that's a smart move on your part.
All right, so we have a comment. We are at least at 66 Russian bots. We have one verified person out here. We got Brizzy2K is asking, and again, we're not a sports gambling show, so there might be better resources to go to, and please don't sue us if you lose your money. But he's got Utah money line, so he's picked Utah to win this game. You think I should cash out? I feel like we got a little lucky in the first half. So what he's asking, your professional opinion as a fantasy football player. But no, it's a good question. We can answer this question. So you take in Utah. They're up 11. They're at home. Utah's home win record is absurd. Like I think it was McAfee last year, something like, when they're at home, they don't lose, something like that. It's like that there's truth to that. Like, that's a tough home field. They play well at home. What's your answer here for Brizzy? And I will what's it called in the courtroom where someone's typing away?
I don't know, but you can deliberate at the end. You can just make the final decision. I think that I would stick.
Rate them.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That Brizzy2K, don't hate me, but if I'm wrong, but I really do think that Utah is going to take this. It's a rivalry game. I mean, they're at home, and as Kevin said, their at home win record is absurd. I think Utah has underperformed all year. They are a better team than their record shows. And I mean, at BYU, they are a talented team, and they could come out in the second half guns a-blazing. But I actually, if I had to put money right now on a team to take this game, I would actually throw my money on Utah. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, so I mean, again, and he's saying he's got Utah. So should he cash out early?
No, I would keep it. I'm going Utah.
Yeah, you're hold. I think I'd agree with that. I would say, gosh, it's tough. It's tough when I don't want to give him bad advice, but I think hold. I think an 11-point lead at home. Utah defense is still, they're uncertain on offense. Quarterback changes, all that. Who is playing Did I see a different quarterback for Utah than Isaac? Yeah, it is not Isaac Wilson. We might have to look that up. But we got Brandon Rose slinging the pill. Again, shout out Brizzy. He's heard us. I didn't even tell you. I didn't even respond to him. He is listening. We appreciate you, Brizzy, that you are not a Russian bot. So thanks for joining. Good luck. Hope you win. And yeah, that would be our vote. Is hold on. Brandon Rose appears to be able to sling the pill. We need one more touchdown for Micah Bernard, so we are on the Utah train. We need 22 points for Mr. Booker over here to get a first round bye. So,
come on.
Any other questions out there on YouTube, X? Hit us up, Brizzy. Let us know how it goes. Give us a screenshot of if you win or not. We were gonna do a segment of like, we don't have too many haters at this point. We just got this thing started. So we were gonna do a segment of just on X, people just post things like just the most random. I posted something about fantasy football earlier, and someone was like, "Yeah, Trump's gonna change the price of gold," and da da da. I'm like, "Okay, guys, cool. That's good." So anyway, anybody else, if you have questions, hit us up again on our post. Who wins? Steer, hashtag Tiger. Let us know. That was the big debate of the day is who's going to win in that fight. You even got the Tiger. Oh, you got the Tacoma? Is that the Tacoma
Tigers?
Nice. Born and
Long
raised.
time ago.
All right, so we'll do our waiver wire targets, and then we're going to do a little bit of again, we said that playoffs start next week in college fantasy football. So we're going to jump into a little bit of a playoff preview, strategy, and setting a lineup. So let's do our waiver wires first, and then we will go back that way. So I'll just read off our list, and then maybe if you want to pick one or two that you feel strongly about, I'll take some of the other guys. So we got Fernando Mendoza. We already covered him a little bit, but the Cal quarterback, great day today, 385 yards, 3 touchdowns, great completion percentage. Well, again, we're a little unsure is if he's available, if he's not in your leagues, but the one advantage he plays for Cal, they're not necessarily like, a powerhouse in college football, and so he might be available. If he is, pick him up. Kai, oh man, 2 for 2 here. Here we go. Kai
Robichaux.
Boston College running back. He's not going to get you 198 and 2 touchdowns every week, but we do like this offense being run heavy. He has had a couple other decent weeks, so I don't think this is just a one-off. Again, we're not promising over 30 points a week for this guy. He is a senior, so probably more of a win now. Like, for instance, my team, I have a lot of freshmen, so it's not necessarily somebody I'm going to go after because I want as many freshmen on my team for next year and beyond. I'm not trying to win now. I'm not going to make the playoffs. So I'm looking to 2025 and beyond. So, but if you are trying to win now, I think he does have some good playoff matchups and might get some more rush yards. So Quentin Skinner, Kansas wide receiver, 4 for 135 and 1 this week, 23.5 this week. Again, we don't want to chase the points in fantasy football. We've all done that. That being said, he had 31 points a few weeks ago. He in a best ball league, this is the type of guy you want where it might not give you that consistent, steady 15 points, but I like a guy that can give me 23 or 30 over the, hey, he's going to give me 12.5 every week. So you need those high upside guys. Quentin Skinner, keep an eye out for him. Keyshawn Williams, Indiana wide receiver. The world is buzzing about Indiana. 6 for 73, no touchdowns. He's been over 13 points, kind of the opposite of Skinner. He's been over 13 points in 3 out of 5 weeks. This is a great offense. His final 2 weeks are good if you get that first round bye. I do believe he has a bye this coming week. So if you need to win this week, I would not pick him up. And then Evan Pryor, Cincy running back. He's only a junior, but I really liked his 5 for 100 and a touchdown as a running back. Again, PPR running backs, especially in college, in the NFL, it's a huge advantage when a guy can catch the ball. And that type of explosivity, I butchered that. That kind of explosive abilities as a running back is just only a good thing. So, of those 5, which one or two are you the highest on that the fine people should spend their remaining fab budget on?
Well, it depends on what you need. I mean, I like the Keyshawn Williams for Indiana. Um, golly, what's his name? Curtis Rourke, quarterback for Indiana. He's has 154 completions out of 210 attempts for 2,200 yards, over 70% completion percentage with 19 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. So I'm personally wanting a piece of that offense. I don't hate that. He's not the number one guy. Elijah Surratt seems to be the number one guy over there, but I still would like a piece of that offense. The other guy that I kind of like is Evan Pryor. Corey Kiner has the lion's share of runs or handoffs with Cincinnati at 123. But Evan Pryor actually has been averaging over 4 yards more per carry than Corey Kiner and has more touchdowns. So what that tells me, I haven't watched a lot of Cincinnati games, but what that tells me is that he's getting the ball down at the goal line. Maybe he's a bigger guy, so he's vulturing those goal line carries and getting touchdowns, which is where a lot of those points will come. So I'm probably highlighting those two. I'm not. I mean, we're late in the season. Unless you're really desperate, I'm not using a ton of fab for those two. But you might be able to steal those two for next to nothing. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. Yeah, it's not. These aren't high end handcuff running backs who now have an elite role. They are, but they're nice pickups, and like you said, especially for the value and the bid you can put in on these guys. I think, yeah, we'll post tomorrow. Our waiver wires are going to be, we're going to shift that video and that post to Sundays. That'll give you guys some more time to, get those bids in and take a look at what we're thinking. Again, that post on X is a little more long form, why we think that those players should be on your team and just extra information on them. Two things I'll say, again, Quentin Skinner, just love the big playability in fantasy football in the playoffs. You need, and again, we're going to get into this, but you need the high upside and you need a good floor. You don't want to have a dud of a week. And man, if I would have just scored like a baseline of points, I would have won. But, so we'll get into that here in a few minutes. I'll also go Keyshawn Williams. I was watching this game today and, it looks like there it is. It looked like, I don't know if it was Surratt or which of and they like to spread the ball around, so there's not a clear alpha in Indiana, but one of the bigger guys took a nasty hit, and so there's a chance he's out with a concussion or a minor injury. So I think there's a possibility here if that injury is worse than it. I mean, it looked pretty bad, so there is an opportunity that Keyshawn Williams gets an expanded role. Again, Indiana wants to spread the ball around, but Indiana likes to throw the ball. They are throwing the ball quite a bit, and so again, I would we might bump him up on the priority. He's at 4. Yeah, we have him at 4 right now. I might actually bump him up above Skinner. I can't go above Robichaux because, man, what a name is that. So if you've been following our waiver wires, you know that if you have a good name or a good nickname, you're gonna make the list. So that's our only requirement. So, all right, we got Utah. Yeah, Brandon Rose. This guy's a baller. Look at him. It looks like 3 rushing yards, 44, 3 rushes, 44 yards. He's ready to go. I wonder what happened to Isaac Wilson, Zach Wilson's little brother, cousin. What's Brizzy? Do you know Brizzy's probably like
I believe yeah. I think he's his brother. Yeah, feel free to comment, Brizzy, the relation between Isaac Wilson and oh gosh, what's the other Wilson at New York?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. Oh, he's at Denver now. He's not in New York. Yeah. Yikers. I'm way behind. That shows you just how much I know about the NFL. So
all right. So while Brizzy is letting us know the relation of the Wilson boys, let's get into playoff preview. So this isn't going to be a robust breakdown. We have been mentioning different matchups over the last few weeks. I might go back and look at the different waiver wire guys we've suggested because they have good playoff matchups. Let's start with. I just want to ask you. You are going into the playoffs. I'm not in their college league, and so what's your overall strategy? Again, it's best ball, so your strategy is, you know, roll them all out there and see who scores the most. Again, I don't like best ball, but if especially for those listeners who have a lineup that they're setting, let's assume 12, just kind of a standard lineup, 12 guys or so. How are you going about that? What are kind of your strategy pieces and waiver? Are you going to drop guys to, for someone that might have a better matchup in waivers? Again, league size. There's a lot of factors that go into this, but just give the folks kind of what your strategy is for a playoff run.
Yeah. Well, so I'm speaking for myself. I'm only dropping and trading or like picking up on the waiver wire if someone is injured. I think we're late enough in the season here, unless you can get a decent trade with maybe a team that is rebuilding. I'm not getting rid of players. If you have to set a lineup because you're not best ball, I'm probably, if you have a top 5 player, regardless of matchup, I'm keeping them in your starting lineup. Anyone beyond the top 5, I'm playing matchups. I think that matchups are the way to go. Tennessee played Mississippi State today and ran all over them because Mississippi State's defense is not incredible. And so I'm kind of the mindset of go big or go home. Kevin may be on the more conservative play for the high floor with some potential for some high ceiling. I like to swing for the fences personally. And so if someone is top 5 in their position, I'm leaving them there. If they are outside the top 5, I am playing the matchup. That is my strategy. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'd agree. It's really hard. Like, I think one thing I've run into in the past is like the name value of if a guy has a name that you trust and you drafted high, like, hey, I draft this guy in the 3rd round in August, like I have to start him in the playoffs. And I would just say you don't have to, let's not get our emotions involved. It is hard though. It's hard to say, hey, I'm going to trust this matchup, even though I'm going to bench a guy. Again, this is go time. You're going to have to make hard decisions. In most times, I'd say go with your gut and do as much researching as you can. But for the most part, like Booker said, I think you want to mix. I don't want to go fully floor guys. Who you're playing is a big part of this as well. One of the top guys in our league, if I was going against him, he had a 1st round bye and his team has been a juggernaut all year. You might have to swing for the fences because your B plus team is not going to beat what he's putting out there, or she. So yeah, I would say that I think trusting the matchups and playing kind of like we said earlier, playing the man, not just the game. So one thing you mentioned earlier I want to come back to is weather. We saw that today. Heavy rain games, keeping your eye out, and I think again I wasn't paying much attention to it, but it seems like the whole Southeast got hammered with rain, and so every game in the SEC is affected by rain. So, and I wouldn't go benching Quinn Ewers because he's in a rain game, but just know, hey, you might not get that massive upside if he's in bad weather, so you might have to compensate elsewhere.
Yeah, especially as we get into, we're getting into the fall, into the winter, so weather will play more of a role for sure.
Yep. And would you again, that might be, hey, maybe I'm going to play an extra running back instead of a wide receiver in my flex because it's going to be a rainy game. I think they're going to feed the ball to the running back. And again, it's sometimes you're going to live and you're going to not with those decisions, but that's why we play the game. So the one other thought I have is I've been really high on the Big 12 teams, and this is kind of a backhanded compliment, because they don't play defense. And so I like the fantasy shootout abilities with a Big 12 team much greater than, hey, you're playing even like an Auburn, even a Vanderbilt. It's just a grittier conference. The Big Ten, same thing, where, hey, not every game is going to be a blowout. Where when it's Baylor versus Texas Tech, I'm pretty sure it's going to be 35-28, and there's a really good shot that one of your guys is on those touchdowns. And so everybody's looking at that too, so I don't think you can just trade your whole lineup for Big 12 guys. That's not what I'm recommending. But I would give those guys a little bit of a bump of like, hey, one thing I've noticed is a lot of Big 12 teams have excellent playoff matchups. And so food for thought. You can make trades this week, at least in our league, up until the playoffs. So, maybe if you have a comparable player in the Big 12 and like a Travis Hunter for, say, like a good wide receiver in the SEC, maybe you can throw a little extra on top and make that swap. I would definitely do that because he's going to get a favorable matchup. Colorado wants to make the playoffs. They're going to throw the ball. I'm trying to think of another example like that, but that's to be a situation where, like, hey, I would look to make that kind of a trade. It's those little marginal decisions that are going to make. Yeah, run Bernard, get it, Bernard. Let's go, man. Hey, where's our guy at in that the comments? Brizzy is going. He is stoked.
Right, absolutely loving that.
Brizzy is just hyped. Come out the second half, get a stop, just run the ball. Utah football.
I'm pulling for you, Brizzy. I am absolutely pulling for you.
Absolutely. Go Utes. Man, it's been a tough year for them. They were a lot of people's pick to win the Big 12, and bringing that kind of tough football to a division that's not known for tough football. And so I just think that, the rotation of quarterbacks, it's hard to be consistently good when you're putting a new quarterback out there every week. It's just really hard for an offense. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up. We hope Brizzy's money line pans out, and we've given this guy a lot of love. So probably more than we should have. But anyway, have a good night, Brizzy. Thanks for hanging out with us, engaging. Any other final thoughts you have, Book, as we wrap this up?
I just love doing this. It's awesome to see that there's 65 people on. I don't know how many of those are real or are listening, but Kevin and I both absolutely love Saturdays and watching college football and talking about fantasy football. And so if there's something that you can glean from that and you enjoy it as well, or I don't know, it's just a win-win. And so thank you so much for listening. And yeah, we're coming to the end of the season, which is always a sad thing, but at least we have a 12-team playoff to look forward to this year.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep the podcast going even in the off season. We're gonna figure out what that looks like, but there's lots of content around football all year. There's just so much. So we won't get into that now, but we are planning to keep this going even in the off season. And like Booker said, this has been just a lot of fun. Thank you guys for joining, for, again, engaging on X. That's our main platform at the moment. And it's just been a blast. So again, podcasts come out on Monday, waiver wires tomorrow. We'll do, are we going to do Miffed Mondays?
Miffed Mondays. And I got the guy already.
You got your Miff.
He's on my team, and he has he's just done nothing, including this week. So I'm ready for Miffed Mondays.
You're ready for it. So we're gonna give that a shot. We usually our rankings sometime between Wednesday and Friday. It's just work schedule has been crazy on that, but those are our main things we're pumping out. And then on Saturdays we're talking football and playing fantasy football like all of you guys. So anyway, follow us on X at SidelineFFPod. You can also follow me, TSP_Kevin, Booker, TSP_Booker. And reach out, comment, and till next time. Have a good night.
Until next time. Thank you, everybody.